Hello again, it's Lock Noob, and I want to do a beginner's guide to bottom of the keyway tensioning. So bottom of the keyway is down here, opposite to what some people call pin side. So this is bottom of the keyway. This is where most people like to put a tension wrench or a tension tool or a tension bar to pick their locks. Now, nearly anybody who tells you anything about lockpicking when you first start, or what they should be telling you, is that the key to it is getting the tension right. Whether you're raking a lock or picking a lock, you absolutely have to try and get that tension perfect. If you don't get the tension perfect, then you won't be able to feel what the lock is telling you. You won't be able to tell whether a pin is bound, whether it's been set, whether it's a spool or it's a serrated pin, whether it's giving you counter rotation or whether you've overset it. The locks tell you a lot, but they don't tell you very much if you over tension them or under tension them. Now, there are times where you need to increase the amount of tension. There are times where you need to have a very light tension, and there are also times where you need to vary that tension. I hope to try and cover some of the theory in this video. However, the truth is, every lock, even a different Master Lock 3, will feel different and require a little greater or a little lesser tension on it, so that you can feel when those pins click into place. Every lock is different, and the only way that you will be able to get the right tension is practice, experience, and feel. There isn't a shortcut around this. Some people may get there faster. I still find it difficult to get into some locks, and that's just the way it is. That's partly why the hobby's so much fun. It's trying to unravel the mysteries of the unknown. So what types of bottom of the keyway tension wrenches or tension tools do we have? I'll start this side. So we have tools like, I'm just going to use the Master Lock 3 to show you. So we have tools like this is a car wiper blade insert that's been bent at one end. That could fit bottom of the keyway, just like this, okay? You also have, and these are good because you can make them as long as you want, short as you want, and put the amount of bend on there as you want, and put the bit that goes into the lock, make that as long as you want. So very nice, very customizable. However, they don't come in much variety of thickness. As you saw here, if I did put this in, I might actually end up slipping the tension wrench round. That might seem like a good idea, but look what's happening at the top of the lock. The tension wrench just slipped round, and actually the wrench is dragging now on the cylinder in the core, this piece of metal at the top. What that's doing is dragging, providing drag, which means it's going to be very hard to control the amount of tension you've got, and may actually stop the lock from turning because you're digging into the cylinder itself. So this is, and you might find that you start picking okay, and then you get something called a wrench slip, and then it slips round. You lose all your pins, and it's so frustrating. It happens all the time, by the way, even to me, even now. Okay, so that's wiper blade inserts. You also have twisted tension wrenches. These come in different thicknesses. So if I turn them this way up for you, you should be able to see that these are, let's put them this way. Well, are these the same or are they slightly different? Yeah, they're slightly different in terms of thickness. You can just see that they are a small amount different in terms of their width, this one being the thickest. This might actually fit in this lock a little better, like this, okay? And there you go, that isn't going to slip round. However, it still could bite, the bottom of the wrench here could still bite in to the metal of the lock core down here, and if it's not nice and smooth, the rounded edges of this tension wrench, it could again dig in. But this feels okay actually, and it doesn't feel like it's going to give me a tension wrench slip unless I start up here, and then I if you get it too high up and you don't maintain the tension on there, that's good because it's not touching the core, but it could easily slip off and then dig in, and that between here and here, you may actually lose all those set pins as it just jumps. Okay. Why do these ones have twists in? Well, it's actually quite nice to have these twists in now and again because it actually provides a bit of flexibility. I shall try to show you. So just look how when I put a lot of tension on this end, the whole wrench flexes. That does protect a little bit against noobs like myself from putting too much tension on. Compare that to something like these solid tension wrenches, which don't have that twist in. They don't flex very much, so you've got to be a bit more careful. However, because they don't have that flex in, they do give you a bit more feedback. So as you're picking those pins, you should be able to hear and feel a little bit better through the tension wrench what's actually happening inside the lock. Okay, so I think that these twisted ones are quite nice. They do stop you from maybe over tensioning the lock. The standard L-bend wrenches like these give you a bit better feedback, and you can see I've got a range of different thicknesses with different types of lock. Sometimes a very, very thick wrench like this may take up so much space in a lock that it doesn't give you a lot of space to get your tension wrench in as well. As you can see, the tension wrench going in would hit those pins. Maybe if I use a smaller tension wrench like this, trying to find one which actually fits nicely, like that, that's balanced nicely, I might be able to get my pick in a little easier. It gives me a bit more room. Saying that, the best way to get around that problem is to do top of the keyway tensioning, then you've got all this space down here, but that's for another video. So lastly but not leastly, we also have Z wrenches or Z wrenches. These are no different really from the standard L wrench like this, apart from they come with different thicknesses on different sides. So you can see that if I look at these ones that way, this one has a thinned down, can you see the angle there, a thinned down end, while this end is left thicker. If I turn this one over, it's the same story, so this is thinned down. And again, they just add convenience that you could keep one or two in your kit and actually have 4 different thicknesses at the end. So you could probably choose one which actually fits quite nicely in there. I quite like that, gives me plenty of space to get in my pick and start to feel what's going on. This last one is slightly different because the thickness of the metal is the same. It's just that the angle of where the wire, this is like a music wire or a welding rod that's been beaten, but it's been angled differently. How does that make a difference? Well, first of all, I quite like this. It's very, very strong, doesn't have much flex in it, and it can go into the lock this way around, meaning I can tension with my finger over here. But if I turn it this way around, then it gives me a little bit of comfort that I might be able to just tension it from up here. It's purely a comfort factor at this point, okay? But that does make a difference whether you're tensioning sort of almost at right angles here, like this, or whether you're going almost 180 degrees to the lock like this, okay? So that 90 or 180 degrees, thereabouts, turn can provide a lot of comfort. So I guess the next thing is, now we know what tools we have, and we know that we have to find the right tension tool to fit inside the lock, which doesn't drag on the core and gives us the right level of feedback. How much tension do you put on? Well, honestly, it's very, very, very hard for me to show you how much tension you put onto a lock, purely because each lock is different. What I would suggest you do, as always, is go in light. So put your finger on, once you've got your tension wrench in, put your finger on until the core stops and leave it there. You'll be very surprised when you first start out how little tension you need. Is it enough though? So put a little bit of tension on. Look at my finger here. It's not white like this. It's it's not over pressured. When I take my finger, take my finger away, it's not overly marked. It's just resting on there really. And you go in, and if you press the pins one by one, and you can't feel one binding, then you probably need to put a little bit more tension on, and maybe just a tad more. If I put too much on, like this, that's really heavy tension. Look at the colour of my finger here, it's turned white. If I take this away, you can see it's heavily marked my finger. That's really heavy tension. There are times when you've got a very awkward pin maybe, that you, or a stubborn lock, or you want to try and pick pins out of binding order, then you could, I suppose, put a very heavy tension on. There are applications, but not when you first start out. As for that clicking sound, so that means that you've got the right tension. If I don't put any tension on at all and press the pin, it doesn't matter which one I press, they're very springy and there's no binders. If I put the right amount of tension on and I get the right pin, you hear a click. If I put too much tension on, and hopefully you can see that I'm almost bending this wrench now, that first pin that I got, that was the first binder, I can't even press it in. It's jammed against the core. Back off a little bit. So if you're not feeling any pin bind and they're all nice and springy, it either means you've overset a pin and the rest of the pins are just bouncing freely, or you just haven't got enough tension. If you put too much tension on, then you'll be fighting these pins to get them to pick, and you may end up bending your tension wrench. Okay? Like I said, experience, experience, experience.